Times women try to fight on paternity court.
Mrs. Jackson, you are not her grandmother.
Got you. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that.
I need order.
The only thing I could think about doing was going to get a bottle of Henny because it was on and popping now. Shit. I was not going to marry her.
You look like a man anyway. Shut up.
You shut up.
Can I talk, Your Honor?
Wait a minute. Hold on. Wait a minute.
After fooled into getting foolish by a married man, Miss Brown was desperately standing in court to fight for the paternal fight of her daughter's blessing. The irony was that the man she trusted wasn't only denying her child, but also any recollection of being with her.
We were married, and he will lie and say that we wasn't, but we were. He lies about everything, Your Honor.
Who married us? Can I see the paperwork?
Can I talk? What paperwork? I ripped it up. I'm not talking. Where were you? Where were you when I got married? You wasn't around, exactly. So when were you when I conceived my daughter? You wasn't around.
Wait a minute. Ladies.
Yeah, ladies, take a breath. This is about a child. Screaming and blaming just proves nothing. Anyway, amid this mess, the judge was caught up in the fact that how Mr. Shenoster managed to get married to another woman while he was still married to the woman standing next to him.
How did you marry him if he already had a wife?
Because he didn't have a wife.
How
He was married to
Me and
me
Miss
at the
Douglas was
time.
together, but we were not married. We were separated.
We met through a mutual friend, which we basically had a long distance type of relationship. We talked on the phone, we Facebooked, all of that. So we don't court. We meet, we get married. That's how it goes.
Don't court, get married right after meeting on Facebook? Bad move, Mommy, as it was clear how being this green had worked for the advantage of Smirkface Khan. The couple had gotten married over the phone, which the defendant denied, as in his words, Miss Brown seemed too fast for him.
I met her
Where
on
were you?
Facebook.
What?
We inboxed back and forth, and she was living in a shelter at the time, so we could meet, okay? I caught the train, got off the train, got in the cab. When I walked in, she said, "Here's your Abu." Abu is father. Talking to her 3 kids. I've never met her a day in my life. The kids like, "Hey Abu, hey Abu." She continues to walk straight to the back of the house.
You heard Mr. Shenoster. The plaintiff had all of her children calling him their father. But this testimony didn't sit too well with Mommy. The guy made some really insane remarks about the woman who was the mother of his potential child.
Now she's jiggling, walking towards me. I did consider, Your Honor, I did consider marriage.
Friends told me.
The only thing I could think about doing was going to get a bottle of Henny because it was on and popping now. Shit. I was not going to marry her.
You look like a man anyway. Shut up.
You shut up.
Can I talk, Your Honor?
Wait a minute. Hold on. Wait a minute.
Wow, aren't you so innocent after getting tempted by a strange little girl? And I'm sure even though he wouldn't admit to giving in, there was some fishy part that Mr. Shenoster was trying to hide with his loud babbling. We all know that judges look past such things quite well.
What I'm trying to understand is marriage or no marriage, you still say you had sex with her.
Yes, I did.
So-
I did have unprotected sex with her.
And it was unprotected.
Yes, unprotected. Unprotected sex.
Would you have unprotected sex with Your
Honor,
Honor? When he came to my house, he came out. He came out.
Let's get some order.
Any woman would be pushed to the edge when she's treated like that. So Miss Brown kept shouting from the top of her lungs that her alleged father was nothing but a conniving liar who dumped her right after sleeping with her. After this, the judge asked the ory-eyed plaintiff about the pregnancy.
How soon after you ended the relationship with Mr. Shenoster were you intimate with somebody else?
6 weeks after.
And how soon after that did you find out you were pregnant?
When I found out I was pregnant, I was 6 weeks and 3 days. I had sex with another man 3 days before I found out I was pregnant.
And so when you found that out, did you immediately call Mr. Shenoster?
Yes.
And we all know how that revelation would have gone with Mr. I'm So Innocent. So as we had anticipated, Mr. Shenoster claimed that the other guy was the real father, because he was on the profile picture of the plaintiff, and there was no way that the baby was his. Nonetheless, all this was too much for his wife.
The boyfriend is the man that she's talking about, which is the same man that's on her Facebook profile picture with
Your
the
Honor,
baby.
Your Honor.
It's a family collage
Your Honor.
of this same man. That's the only reason I knew who this man was is because I seen his face on Facebook
You
in
never
that family
saw him.
collage.
Ms. Douglas, I know this is difficult for you. If you need to leave the courtroom, you may be excused.
That running way made sense. Who would want to be part of such a mess? Coming back to the other guy in the picture, the outraged woman told the court just because Blessing's real father had refused to step up. Her boyfriend was falling into the void.
Your Honor, would you not take the care?
baby.
That's what a stepfather is. When you step down, they step up.
So, Miss Brown, what you're saying is because Mr. Shenoster failed to step up, this other man did.
The same
And
man.
that's why maybe people mistake him for being Blessing's biological.
He's the
but he is
only
not.
one. Everybody knows.
I know, all of this is a bit confusing, but the real shocking bomb was still yet to come. It turns out that the defendant was trying to fool Judge Lake by going round and round in circles, which never works. We won't ruin it by telling you. Let's just show you.
Good-looking husband, beautiful wife equals good-looking babies. I'm just saying I love you and thanks you. Miss Brown, you respond, I love you too. Why are you thanking me? Laugh out loud. Mr. Shenoster says, for carrying my child. You never married her.
I never married her.
So why you say good-looking husband?
I chose wrong. I chose my words unwisely.
With all of that on the plate, the judge was all ballistic in the courtroom, and the defendant were not ready to put his guard down either, which led him to act in a frenzy that Jerome had to calm down.
She testified to the fact over and over again that you all had established a marriage, that you all had had sex unprotected. She could have
Yeah,
ever
because-
conjured up.
because
Hold
I don't even
on.
remember
Your
that.
wife clowned her back and forth that this ain't no way.
It's not.
No. Why then do you say good-looking husband and beautiful wife?
That's how I talk.
Apart from lying and making such a fool of himself on national TV, Mr. Shenoster's doubts had some ground. That's why the judge wanted to give him a fair chance for that. And no matter how much one might deny it, such ambiguity calls for DNA results.
In the case of Brown versus Shenoster, when it comes to 6-month-old Blessing Brown, it has been determined by this court. Mr. Shenoster, you are the father.
For some people, the very thought of their grandchildren is utter bliss. Unfortunately, Miss Jackson wasn't one of them, as the woman straight up refused to accept a baby girl at any cost. FYI, such stubbornness never leads to good ends.
Why did you initially accept the baby if you had doubt?
Your Honor, I never accepted the baby. That's a lie. I stated from day one, I do not believe this is my granddaughter. If I can bring you into my reality with
I
this
want to go
family-
in. Tell me what happened.
Okay, she came to my home with her mother and another family member. Let me remind you, this child was already 4 months old. I never even heard of this young lady.
Big Mama told the court that her son never mentioned the defendant or anything about having a child with her. Even though Miss Pickens was in love with more men at the conception time, she was still persistent that Miss Jackson's locked-up son was the baby daddy.
When I met him, I had a boyfriend.
Exactly.
Me and the boy stopped.
So she also said
Me
she
and the
was
boy
a cheater.
stopped.
Hold on.
Me-
When you met her son,
Yes.
you had a boyfriend.
Yes.
So somehow you get
Yes.
into a relationship with Miss Jackson's son.
Yes. Like, we wasn't in a relationship. We were just
Exactly.
messing around.
Okay.
Me and her son was messing around
And
every
you had
day. Every day.
Listen.
Unprotected sex.
So they might not have been dating at all, but they were completely in each other's hair. However, it got revealed that after breaking up with the alleged father, the defendant chose to mess around with another guy, who was her first pick as daddy.
At the time your child was conceived, having sex with any other man,
As
Miss
for me,
Jackson's son and
The boy who I was going with after him.
and you thought he was the father
Yes.
at first.
Yes.
The guy that was after Miss Jackson's son.
Yes.
Did you get a DNA test with him?
No, man.
Yeah, seems like Markel changed her mind. But the question was, what brought such a change of heart? In Baby Mama's defense, it was Miss Jackson's son who kept pushing that he was the father. Did the plaintiff know about this?
He's saying this is my baby.
Yes.
So-
he ain't never denied it. If he did, he denied her around them.
Your Honor, I will agree.
So you think they look alike?
Yes.
Your
They
Honor.
look just alike. That's her
My son
twin.
looked like Sonia.
And no, he
Yes,
don't.
come
He
on.
don't
My son
look
looks more like
nah.
her than he does
She
me.
said her son look like me.
No.
Yes.
No.
Can you stand up and turn to the court?
No.
That look more like her son than mine. Come
No.
on.
Clearly, all of this wasn't convincing enough for the Gram, for her child looked like her mommy and her family. Nonetheless, she kept mentioning that mommy had accepted the child. So when the judge implored the plaintiff for this, Miss Jackson went on like this.
I never
Fake.
established a
Fake.
relationship with this child. We
Fake.
got
Give
text
her a lie to
messages
text.
that will even sit up
Lying.
here and say, I never
Lying.
established a
Lying.
relationship.
I'm
That
just
child been to
saying.
my house
If
3
I-
times.
if
that's the case, Your Honor,
Listen, we can either get this resolved or y'all can go on back home and act a fool in the street, because you're not going to act it up in here. I am serious.
The judge has a point. Acting like streets weren't going to help anyone. To find the truth, they had to behave civilly. That's why the judge asked Jerome to stand between both stands. So it was established that the plaintiff had made no effort whatsoever to warm up for the child.
You're saying you didn't establish a relationship because you never truly believed this was your son's child, but the child has been to your house on several
3
occasions.
occasions because my son wants to get her. There's no relationship, and she.
So you
even-
do acknowledge that your son felt like.
Yes, I will say that.
Nicole further added that the scheming mother had even gone to the length of faking a pregnancy test to nail her son as the man. That's an accusation now, isn't it? But the plaintiff kept pressing that the not-so-real babies were twins, because the mother of the real grandchild was pregnant with twins.
About faking a pregnancy, stated she was pregnant with twins when she found out Aaliyah was pregnant, and come to find out that's a lie because her mother told me it was a lie. She acted like she was in the hospital when she really wasn't, Your Honor, and she gave me a bogus number stating that it was the hospital number and it went to a cell phone. What hospital have a voicemail? When she found out Aaliyah was pregnant, she is very jealous of Aaliyah.
Whoa, grim of jealousy is the reason that baby is in this wrangle? But who would put their own child's future in jeopardy just out of envy? I find that hard to buy. But anyway, let's watch what happened next.
Why did you lie?
Yes, I did lie because I was kind of hurt. I was hurt because at the time.
So you did it to get back at him.
Yes.
But you now have to understand why your
Yes.
credibility is about shot.
I know.
Why another woman, another person, or a judge
Gonna
might
feel the
not
type of
believe
way.
what you're saying
Yes.
when you make up an entire pregnancy story that
Yeah, I
you
know.
then have to admit was a lie.
Yes.
Okay, now even I think that baby mama is just making the whole thing up. And the judge was mixed too. That's why Judge Lake called Miss Pickens' mother, who also stood firm on the defendant's testimony. She even went to the length of accusing the grandma at the opposite podium.
To me, she looked just like hair, eyes. She does looks like this little boy done lived with me for about a month because his mother put him out.
Exactly. When he doing
He didn't have nowhere to
activity,
go. But I had a picture of Kevin, her, his little brother, and his dad, and they all look the same way.
Miss Dates even told the court how she herself confronted her daughter to make sure she wasn't pinning the child on the wrong guy. But Markel assured her mother that another possibility was not the father. That's why Sonia was standing in the courtroom defending Miss Pickens.
I asked her at one time, you know what I'm saying? Because she didn't have no features of this other guy.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
All
then
right.
when she told me, she never said Kevin. She said somebody else. Didn't happen, so Kevin came around, and that's when I started seeing her features. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, she do. She got
So
nappy
you
hair
went
like
off
him.
of the fact that you felt like they resemble. Okay.
Right.
Thank you so much. You may be seated.
The judge had listened to both sides with patience and had reminded them that this trial wasn't about them, but rather about the child. The good thing was that Miss Jackson came forward and claimed to take care of the child if DNA proved relatedness. Let's see if she keeps her words up.
When it comes to 1-year-old baby Josiah Pickens, Mrs. Jackson, you are not her grandmother.
Got you. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that.
I need order.
Honest and straightforward, Mr. Buchanan was already duped twice into a paternity trap by 2 of his ex-girlfriends. Learning the truth the hard way, baby daddy refuses to fall for the same thing again. Let's see if the third time is the charm or not.
The first 2 times, DNA testing proved you were not the father. And you now doubt your girlfriend, Miss Stembridge's 6-month-old daughter, is yours. You state she is engaged in sexual affairs outside of the relationship, including with your former friend and roommate.
Yes, Your Honor.
So the judge started out with the doubt part. Apparently, New Bern was sure that his girlfriend was floozy and he even claimed that she had slept with one of his friends, and he found the bitter truth like this.
The day after I was incarcerated in a jail under false pretenses, they had the wrong person, and while we was in the car, he had bought some food, and I said, I was eating it, and he was like, why are you eating all my food? And I'm like, I don't care, so I threw it in the back seat at him, and he's like, your girl, why you locked up?
Well, there goes the "I slept with your girl" comment rubbed in his face really hard. Prior to this information, Miss Stembridge herself had confessed about having a drink with her baby daddy's friend, because she was lonely with Mr. Buchanan being locked up.
I don't care if it's a supermodel. You ain't drinking with somebody that's supposed to be my best friend. You had the right to say no.
Miss Stembridge, or are you blaming your best friend?
I'm blaming her because she knew better. He was single. I don't blame him for nothing. Single man do whatever he wants.
Wow, isn't that a little too much? You would just only blame your girlfriend like that. I know that's weird, but hold up, as there's more coming. And it's got 2 words: lemon drops. Well, it was the tonic to get the baby mama in the mood. And once he saw that, he went bananas.
When you walked in and you saw the drinks out, in your mind you thought she's drinking with him again, and she said that was only a one-time thing.
Okay, check it out. She told me about the beer. So when you picked me up, why didn't you fair warn me about the liquor before I got home? Why are you gonna let me find out by myself? Because you forgot.
I didn't forget too much. It was still there, weren't it?
Baby mama claims that she's got nothing to hide, and she's been honest all the time with her man. However, after that, things just got worse between them, as even his ex-girlfriend tried to warn him that his best friend was stabbing him in his back by sleeping with his woman. That's why the judge called her in to testify.
Have my
Why
back.
are you mad, Jessica?
Have my back
Why?
since day one.
I ain't talking to you.
What exactly did you witness?
Did I witness? When I walked in, all I saw was in the air.
Okay,
No,
let's
on
use
his
better
bed, the head of
language in
his
the court.
bed.
You
I'm sorry.
walked in and saw what?
Booty in the air. At the head of his
Booty in there,
bed.
reflection out miracles.
Oof, this woman is just a human hurricane. You saw how she entered with a bang? That is clear animosity there. While she was testifying, Miss McNeil used all sorts of non-court language, which infuriated the baby mama. Both women showed no sympathy for each other, even though there was a baby involved in the mix.
This is the door to Eric's room. I walked in, standing right there.
Nope, that's a lie, Your Honor. Because I would have seen her. I ain't never seen this girl in my life.
You ain't never seen me in your life.
No, none of
That's
them
a lie.
pictures in his
Look,
phone.
look.
Pictures in his phone.
In his phone.
See, that's
right,
wrong.
in his
I
phone.
weren't even
That's
laying
right.
that way. I weren't even
She
laying
was
that
laying
way.
like
Whatever the witness was proposing, the defendant begged to differ from it. According to her, such an incident never took place. But to make her case stronger, Miss McNeil added the reference to the lemon drop. Yeah, I know. There it goes again.
All I saw, her head towards his closet and booty in the air.
No.
A liquor bottle right here on the counter. I took a shot myself. That was about. That's right.
While you were at it.
That's right.
Hey, what was you drinking, Heather? What was you drinking?
Lemon drops. I ain't never had one.
No.
Ain't never had one, but they good. They're good. I drink them now.
All right, whatever that proves, because for me, it's just mindless to and fro. Anyway, the baby mama stood firm that the plaintiff and his ex-girlfriend were just making things up, and that Mr. Buchanan was the father of her baby girl.
I've never known Heather to never come over to Eric's house and not come in his bedroom.
That's right.
Every time when I was dating her, she's always came in his bedroom.
To show up at Eric's house. Ask
you
him.
did.
I won't
You
call.
did.
I
You did,
showed
though.
up one time and she was there. They wouldn't open the door. That's why she claimed she ain't never seen me.
Closed.
And then when she
Front
came,
door. They wouldn't let me in the house because you was in there.
Check this out. Though the man loved his little girl and wanted to be the biological father, even mommy claimed that he was a great father, and that if it was up to her, she wouldn't pick anyone else to father her beautiful baby girl, which we know most rightfully calls for that envelope.
In the case of Buchanan versus Stembridge, when it comes to 6-month-old Sophia, Mr. Buchanan, you are her father.
Thank you.
that's a blessing.
You are the father. Oh, Jesus. Oh, hold
Okay, get up.
This daughter here was on a long journey to find her long-lost father, but she had little to no help in this regard. Miss Cherry brought the defendant to court in the hopes of getting some answers. However, the guy here was certainly not going to make it easy for her.
Miss Cherry, you claim this is the only man you've ever been told is your dad. Mr. Johnson, you admit that you've never believed you are her father, but you say you understand why today's results are so important for both of you. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Johnson did seem sympathetic to the troubled life of the plaintiff, but he had solid reasons to believe he was not the father that Miss Cherry had been on the hunt for. The plot thickened, and we were here for it.
I do not believe that I am her father because of things that were told to me over the years. It was told to me that I was her father, and then there was a member of the family who came later on and told me that they found out that I was not the father.
Let's dive back into the events that took place way back in 1985. So, the defendant did indeed meet the defendant's mother. Yep, and he remembered her. So far, so good. The crack was how these guys met.
Jennifer's mother sent someone from the neighborhood with a note saying that she wanted to sleep with me and she was in love with me. At this time, I had a few beers, and I can't blame that on the alcohol. Needless to say, we ended up having that one encounter that one night.
You would think that this would be just one night of drunken fun and nothing more. Well, that was certainly not the case. Oh yes, Miss Cherry's mother lost something special that night, along with gaining something else.
Mr. Johnson, do you believe Miss Cherry's mother was a virgin? Is that what you were told? Was that your understanding?
At the time we slept together, I did believe that she wasn't a virgin because of the events that took place after the fact.
Did you use protection?
No, I did not.
The work was done. Now it was time for the consequences. Yep, these kinds of fun always have drastic consequences, especially when caution is thrown to the wind. According to Mr. Johnson, he did get to know about the pregnancy, but not through conventional manners.
People in the neighborhood just were coming up to me and telling me, "Congratulations on your daughter," and I was saying, "I'm having a son."
So then did you get wind of the fact that they were talking about Miss Cherry's mother?
Yes, because the person in the neighborhood told me that it was Dee Dee, in fact, that was pregnant with my child.
2 women got pregnant by the defendant. Moreover, the timeline was eerily overlapping. Now that has got to be confusing on all levels. Mr. Johnson had been a naughty boy, having fun with his girlfriend and Miss Cherry's mother on the side as well.
I went to the hospital to visit my son who had been born, and when I got to the hospital, someone had said, "Are you here to see your daughter?"
So again, you're getting this same feedback, like you have a daughter.
This case was getting interesting by the minute. Now, the defendant believed he wasn't the father. He did get chummy with Dee Dee, but according to him, it bore no consequences. And yet, the other party's family believed he was the father dearest.
Who told you you weren't the father at that time?
Someone in Jennifer's family that was threatening me to step up as her father for months. And all of a sudden, he came back to me and said to me, "We found out who the real father is. You are not the father," and I apologize.
Man, oh man, this was turning out to be a whirlpool of emotions and twists. Mr. Johnson adopted honesty as the best policy and claimed he didn't have enough money for a DNA test. And that led Miss Cherry to ask follow-up questions. She was not letting him off the hook that easy.
I feel like if you wanted to know, you could have found out at that moment, because previously to that, the courts was trying to do a DNA test and you never showed up.
Do you remember signing over your parental rights, Mr. Johnson?
I have never signed a birth certificate. I have never signed any documents pertaining to Jennifer other than child support.
Alleged baby daddy evaded being the father of Miss Cherry at every opportunity. He claimed to have closure, and yet his actions say otherwise. Who better to question the guy's resolve than our very own Judge Lake?
You were basically saying, I can't deal with this, so I'm just not gonna show up, and whatever happens, happens. I mean, what is the real truth?
The real truth is what you just said, probably, Your Honor. It probably really is the truth. I was young, dumb, and didn't step up for my responsibility.
Moving on, the plaintiff donned her Sherlock hat and went Googling on the internet. Through Ancestry.com, she came across some cousins who then led her to the defendant. Now that she had the name, all that was left was to contact him.
Hello, how are you doing? You've grown into a very lovely young lady. Although I did not think I was your father, seeing your picture now brings me to believe you very well may be. When you got that response, what were you thinking?
I started crying.
Even though Mr. Johnson believed he wasn't the one who fathered Miss Cherry, he signed up for child support. That was interesting and had a lot to unpack. Either this guy was in denial or truly had a good heart. Sadly, this did not affect the alleged daughter, though.
I knew there was a child out there in need and that probably needs someone someday to say that they care.
Your Honor, I'm sorry, I don't believe he ever cared because I still was adopted. Both of my parents signed their rights over, both of them.
The text exchange these guys shared had another interesting message, and that message confused the heck out of Miss Cherry. This guy had been persistent about his claim, but his actions and now this text exchange contradicted everything.
Mr. Johnson says, I'm so sorry you had to grow up without a father, and I'm willing to do DNA for you, but I believe 99% you are. I've always waited for you to contact me.
That was actually after I seen the pictures.
And you've been waiting for her to contact you.
Miss Cherry has had a long, hard journey, and the people certainly didn't make it easier for her. The drama has gone on long enough now. Let's roll out the results and put Miss Cherry out of her misery.
Mr. Johnson, you are not the father. I'm so sorry. I was hoping to get closure for you today, Miss Cherry.
It's okay.
You are so deserving and worthy.
Marriage was at stake. Miss Carmon was desperate to prove to her husband that he fathered baby Randol. However, the defendant claimed otherwise and was pretty confident the results would be in his favor.
Miss Carmon, you open your case today in hopes of saving your 18-year marriage. You testify your husband denies he fathered your 4-year-old daughter, Randol.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Carmon, you say when the DNA results reveal that you are not Randol's father, your marriage is over.
While the wife was fighting for their marriage of 18 years, wow, that's a long time. The husband was having none of it. Nope, he seemed to love opening his testimony with metaphors like it wasn't a case proceeding, but your everyday literary class.
How can I put it? It's like, the ends of the bread getting hard. The ends around the bread getting crunchy.
Ain't no need for it to be crunchy.
It's drying up.
Ain't no need for it to be crunchy.
And it's really that pretty face right there.
Which is
that pretty face right there.
Yes, that's your face.
And I've been right there the whole time.
Once shining and booming love turned stale. The million-dollar question was what led them to this point? According to the plaintiff, these guys separated for a while. Wait till you hear what led them to separation.
Because I couldn't get the car, I kind of took it out on him. And so we were arguing back and forth, and we decided that he was gonna leave.
Because of a rent-a-car?
Yes, because of a rent-a-car, Your Honor.
So obviously there were some other things going on because you don't get separated because of a rent-a-car.
As it turned out, whether the wife enjoyed their time apart or not, the husband most definitely did. Oh yeah, he had a blast during that time when he turned an apartment into a party hub of fun. Wow.
He went and rented an apartment.
Yeah, I went and got my own.
Turned it into a boom boom room. I had to pay somebody $100 to go into the home to see what was going on. And it was party central.
And so a boom boom room is what, a party house?
It's a party house.
With women?
With women.
I guess 27 years of being together had the potential to do that to people. These guys took time off, but did not do that amicably. Nuh-uh. It seemed Mr. Carmon rented a boom room because his wife ended up doing something interesting with all his stuff.
Throw all my stuff out on the front yard a woman ago. I went and got my own place.
So you said she threw you out or you went and got your own place?
I came home, she called me, I'm around the corner park talking to my partner. She goes, you know what? Tasmanian devil. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, wait a minute, what you talking about? So I come back to the house, yard sale.
Oh.
What the?
Oh, this is fascinating. After the husband got a secret apartment, the wife wasn't gonna let him off the hook that easily, no matter the separation. Oh yeah, she took some help and went investigating what was going on around that place. And she was in for surprises.
His family member?
Yes, came and picked me up and told me, she said, you must know what's going on over there. So we were staking out. We were actually staking out for a while before we came to the conclusion that I needed to send somebody up in there.
And so you would see the people coming in and out?
Yes.
So you decided I'm gonna pay somebody $100?
I did.
Man, these guys were toxic as heck. The concept of taking the high road was lost on them. They both were vengeful. When the husband found out about the wife's shenanigans, bam! He was back at the house. This whole scenario got swept under the rug. But then a doctor's appointment revealed a surprise.
When did you start feeling doubtful?
Oh, well, can I approach the board?
Please, you brought an exhibit? I'd like to see what you brought.
All right, well, we're gonna start off right here. A year and a half ago, bam, this is what took place first. Thanks for being a stepdad.
Wait a minute, what is that? That's a phone.
Text messages.
According to Miss Carmon, that cheating fiasco was a one-time thing, and she was pretty confident about that. The mystery man, on the other hand, tried contacting her through Facebook, but he shut him down and stood her ground. But then she took an axe to her foot.
This mystery man and his family, after you reconcile with your wife?
Well, when she turned 4, then all the throwing stuff in my face, kept throwing the dude in my face, talking about, I'm gonna go do this, I'm gonna do that, and he gonna send me some money and all this type of stuff.
Once that ship sailed, there was no coming back from it. Nope. Baby mama was still adamant that Ronasia was his daughter. And when one is desperate enough, they take desperate measures. That was what she did when she started pinpointing the similar features they both shared.
Them ears are so small on both of them. All of the kids got them ears are so little.
They work though.
He can hear, yeah, they work. They work. You know why they work? Yeah, he right, cause he can hear a gnat pee. He can hear a gnat pee, you're right.
It was time to see whether this marriage stood a chance or not. The results were surely gonna determine that. Miss Carmon had a lot at stake, and that was evident in the emotion swirling on her face. Let's get right to it.
Mr. Carmon, you are the father. Oh, Jesus. Oh, hold on.
I told you.
Okay, get up, come on, get up.
A wedding was due, the couple was excited about the wedding festivities, and then bam! The defendant canceled his wedding. Oh no! It looked like their destination changed from the church to the paternity court rather swiftly.
Miss Todd, you were suing your former fiance, Mr. Foster, to prove he fathered your 4-month-old daughter, Selena.
Yes, Your Honor.
And Mr. Foster, you say Miss Todd admitted that she cheated on you during the window of conception, so the baby's not yours.
Yes.
Time to shed light on the day this doubt train took off from the station. Miss Todd went out with her guy friend, which was nothing out of the ordinary. But she came back home the next morning, and so the suspicions began.
She says, I want to go hang out with a friend of mine, and it's a guy.
Yes.
But you say I'm not insecure, so okay. And then what happened?
The next day, Miss Todd came back.
She came home the next day?
Yes.
Okay.
I normally don't go through her phone at all, but her phone just kept on buzzing, and it was a text message.
Well, kudos to the plaintiff for coming clean about her extracurricular activities. And by the looks of it, it wasn't a one-time thing with her. Her honesty didn't do her any favors as the ex-fiancé found out something new. Yikes!
So you had sex with this gentleman again, not just this night, another night as well?
Yes, he came and got me from the house, and we went back to his place. It happened again, but we used protection. That's why
You're engaged to Mr. Foster?
No, not at the time he wasn't.
At the time, you just dating?
Yeah, we was boyfriend and girlfriend at the time. He didn't propose to me.
Dear Lord! Baby mama played the poor guy like a fiddle. She testified she wasn't engaged to Mr. Foster, but interestingly, if we were to believe Mr. Foster, these guys were surely engaged. Man, these testimonies sure gave the judge a headache.
Were you or were you not, Miss Todd, engaged when you had your friend come pick you up?
Her birthday is in the summertime, and if I'm not mistaken, it was cold out when the guy came and come to come and get her.
Outside when he came, it was warm.
Ron, I ain't never heard this before. They don't know whether or not they were engaged.
This was a chaotic mess from the beginning. Miss Todd did seem like a compulsive liar. Heck, she was gutsy enough to lie in court as well. She was sure that Mr. Foster was her baby daddy. However, Mr. Foster's mother has something interesting to reveal.
I received a phone call from my son stating that Mrs. Todd didn't have a place to stay. Once I made it back home, I sat her down at the table and I asked her, was it a chance that my son was the father? She said that this other guy was the father.
Excuse me, Your Honor. I said it was a possibility that Mr. Foster or the other guy could be the father.
Liar, liar, pants on fire. And Miss Todd's pants were definitely on fire. Miss Foster wasn't finished with her testimony, and the baby mama was already not coming out decent, let alone a good guy out of it. Yeesh.
Family members of hers were calling me, let me know that this guy was the father. He didn't want to be involved.
So what you felt like your son was just the next best case scenario.
Exactly.
Continue.
I had told my son, I said, if you're gonna be with her, you might as well marry her and get over the fact that the child may not be yours.
The plaintiff was here contesting the claim he wasn't the father, and yet he ended up signing the good old birth certificate. Granted, he did that out of the goodness of his heart, but whether or not he was the biological father, he was the legal one.
Well, you signed the birth certificate, now you might as well marry her.
Yes, because he was advised not to do it.
Oh, you told him don't do that?
Me and a friend of mine, which is an attorney.
You had access to legal counsel and still went on and signed a birth certificate for a child?
Yes, I did.
That you thought was not yours?
Yes, I did.
Mr. Foster wasn't getting off the hook that easily now. The only thing left to do was to tear the envelope open and get to the results. His actions were admirable, though, and I was rooting for him. Here we go.
Mr. Foster, you are her father.
Oh,
I told you so. I told you was her father. I told him he was not there. I told you. She looked just like you. She looked just like you.
A mother might know, her sister might know, my family might know. How are you the only one that don't know?
Excuse me, I'm talking. It don't matter. It does. It don't. So therefore.
Did you just let her disrespect your mother?
Yeah, real bad.
I'm sorry, I had to catch that.
Come again?
Honestly, I don't even know why she over there. She don't do nothing.
It doesn't matter.
After 2 decades, imagine the shock of discovering that the man you believe to be your father is now denying his paternity. It's utterly bewildering, isn't it? Poor Miss Tucker finds herself in this very situation, standing before the court, desperately trying to prove that her father is indeed her biological parent. Will she triumph in this legal battle and reclaim her father's love? Let's dive into the emotional roller coaster.
Miss Tucker, you believed another man was your dad until a bomb was dropped on you 10 years ago when your mother admitted that the defendant is your biological father. You opened your case to prove to Mr. Hunter that he is your dad. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Judge Lake couldn't help but notice the struggle in Miss Tucker's eyes as she fought back tears. Raised with the belief that her father played no role in her upbringing, she was led to believe his presence didn't matter. But let's pause and reflect. Shouldn't every person have the freedom to seek out and connect with their true roots? It's heart-wrenching that Miss Tucker had to accept this for a whole decade.
What do you do after that?
His sister didn't come get me again after that, but I did go home and I talked to my mom about it, and she told me it did not matter because she was my mother and father and he didn't do anything anyway. And so I just accepted it as that. My mom always did her best with me, and I grew up with a great family, so I just took it as if it was his laws.
Curiosity piqued, Judge Lake turned to Mr. Hunter, questioning when he discovered the child wasn't his own. Surprise, surprise, it turns out he had known the truth since the child's birth. He confessed that upon hearing this news, he vanished into thin air, only to resurface 15 or 16 years later.
When she got pregnant, you were told.
Yeah, and she told me the child wasn't mine.
What was your relationship like with Miss Tucker? You were dating exclusively, you were boyfriend and girlfriend, or just?
Yeah, for a short while.
Okay.
Yeah, for a short while. But when she told me she was pregnant, she said the baby wasn't mine. I left and I got my life together.
Hold on tight, folks, because things are about to take a grotesque turn. Even though the child was undeniably Mr. Hunter's, Adriana, the mother, told him she wasn't his daughter, prompting him to flee. But wait, it gets even crazier. When he returned, fueled by swirling rumors, he ended up with Adriana's own sister. Talk about a mind-boggling twist. Both Adriana and Mr. Hunter seem to have lost their grip on reality.
He left after you said the baby's not yours.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, you told everybody else that you thought you confided in, and people had thoughts that the baby might be his, but you told him she wasn't.
Yes, Your Honor.
He's gone. But during that time, and that would have been almost 20 years ago.
Yet, amidst the chaos, Miss Tucker emerges as the epitome of strength, taking matters into her own hands, determined to unravel the truth and set things right. Let's applaud her courage. After all, she's the one who has endured the most in this tumultuous ordeal. Judge Lake, touched by Adriana's plight, extends a sympathetic gesture and requests the envelope.
I feel like both of them are just kind of nonchalant about it because this is the most I've heard out of all of this time. It took for me to have to take matters into my own hands to get both of them here and answers, and it should not have happened like that, I feel like. I just don't think it should have happened like that.
Yeah. And now, the moment we've been waiting for, the verdict. Brace yourself, because it may not be the outcome Adriana desired. Alas, Mr. Hunter is proven not to be Miss Tucker's biological father. It must have shattered her heart. Yet she displays remarkable resilience, asserting that her sole intention was to uncover the truth, allowing both parties to move forward without further interference.
Mr. Hunter, you are not the father. I'm sorry, Adriana.
It's okay. I just wanted answers so that I don't have to keep interrupting his life or, keep going through this in my own life.
Get ready, folks, because this case just took an unexpected turn. The real question is, could either the deceased man or his own brother be the father of this child? Seriously? How could Miss Brogdon have relations with both brothers simultaneously? Now, this might either pique your interest or leave you utterly disgusted. Proving to the deceased man's family that this child belongs to them won't be a walk in the park. That's for sure.
Miss Sugden, you say without a doubt that your brother did not father Miss Brogdon's daughter. You say the stress of her accusations have affected your mother greatly and is preventing her from healing after the loss of her son. Is that correct?
Fast forward a bit, and things are getting even more complicated. Mr. Brogdon dropped a bombshell claiming that Tiana knows Paul isn't the father, but Tyrell is. However, Tiana insists that Tyrell might be the father. Meanwhile, Tiana is primarily concerned about her family and the turmoil they're enduring due to Timsha's accusations against her brothers.
It's affecting our family too much. We need to get this over with.
Because he has guilt because he knows he slept with her.
Yeah, and it's a possibility, that he could be the father.
He was upset about taking the test because he know he's not my baby father. I heard that story from a family member.
So today's test will reveal which of the two brothers is the father of your child?
Two women in the courtroom, and they're both losing their minds, shouting at the top of their lungs. Timsha simply wants them to step up and take responsibility for the baby. However, the sister and mother believe it's unfair to put their family through such stress. But let's be real here. That's not a good enough reason to abandon an innocent child.
Right then and there, y'all could have got a DNA test done on that day. Why didn't Mish call? Why is she going through you all the time? She's a grown woman. You're right. Why did she go through me? But
y'all
keep going through you about every single thing.
Y'all hate me.
But you're a grown woman. If you want somebody to help you with your child, you be a woman about it.
The same way how y'all on Instagram talking about me and my child, my innocent child that don't have nothing to do with the situation.
Ladies.
Finally, after what feels like an eternity, the results are in. Brace yourselves, because Paul is not the father, but Tyrell is. Now, here's the real question. Will they embrace this baby as their own niece? Will they find it in their hearts to love and support her? It's their moment to step up and take responsibility, to make her an integral part of their family.
In the case of Brogdon versus Sugden Jones, pertaining to 17-month-old Quamira Jones, it has been determined by this court. Miss Christina Jones is related to Quamira Jones.
Hold on to your seats, folks. We've got a shocking and downright disgusting case on our hands. Brace yourselves for the jaw-dropping details. Miss Parker claims Mr. Morton is the father of her 7-month-old baby. But the twist? She thinks he's shirking his responsibility because his current girlfriend turned him against them. Is this the truth? Or is there another side to this?
Miss Parker, in your suit, you claim Mr. Morton fathered your 7-month-old son, Aaron, while in a relationship with his current girlfriend.
Yes, Your Honor.
You say the only reason he denies paternity is because his girlfriend turned him against you because she's been unable to conceive a child with him.
Yes, Your Honor.
Whoa, hold up! Did you just hear that bombshell? Get ready to have your mind blown. The judge asked how Miss Parker and Mr. Morton continued their affair while he was in a committed relationship. So brace yourselves. Miss Parker was involved with both Mr. Morton and his girlfriend, Mrs. Lemon. That's right, folks, a love triangle.
First of all, Your Honor, that's my big father. Anytime I want to have sex with him, I'm going to have sex with him. I was vulnerable. He called me. You know, we did what we did.
So, hold on. You have a child with Mr. Morton.
Yes, I have a 5-year-old son.
And he's not the child in question.
No, Aaron is.
But you also still continued a sexual relationship.
Yes, with the both of them.
Things got confusing when Miss Parker mentioned a previous miscarriage. Here's the scoop. She was married but got pregnant by her boyfriend and had a miscarriage. How does it relate to the current situation? The judge had to dig deep to make a fair decision. Talk about a complex web of relationships.
Before my boyfriend went away, I was pregnant by him. That's what they're getting confused. I had a whole miscarriage, Your Honor. A whole miscarriage by this man.
All of a sudden.
You were pregnant.
Before, this was before though. This is before I got pregnant
He was
again.
only locked up
You're right. He wasn't even away when I was pregnant. I was.
But you miscarried.
But I miscarried.
Now, let's delve into Mr. Morton's disbelief. When Miss Parker revealed her pregnancy at 8 weeks, he didn't buy it. Could it be because of her previous pregnancy? The judge questioned his doubts. And guess what? He still had them. Was this the reason for his lack of involvement during the pregnancy? The plot thickens.
I was 8 weeks pregnant when I got that sonogram, and I went home and I gave him the sonogram to let him know we got a baby on the way.
What was your response, Mr. Morton, when she told you we have a baby on the way?
She had told me.
You still had doubts. Did you participate? You have a child with her already. Did you participate in the birth? Were you there through the pregnancy?
I didn't go to none of the appointments.
Hold on a minute. Did Mr. Morton really let his girlfriend disrespect his mother? Unbelievable, right? Was it manipulation, or does he think his mother deserves disrespect? Regardless, interrupting others while they're talking is never okay. And seriously, using his mother's lack of involvement as an excuse for disrespect? Weak argument.
As far as support system, it was me and my daughter, which is Eric's sister,
And her
Mr.
mother.
Morton's sister.
And her mother.
And excuse me, I'm talking.
It don't matter.
It does.
It don't.
So therefore,
Did you just let her disrespect your mother?
Yeah, real bad.
I'm sorry, I had to catch that.
Come again?
Honestly, I don't even know why she over there. She don't do nothing.
It doesn't matter.
Drum roll, please. The moment we've all been waiting for, the results. Mr. Morton is confirmed as the father of Miss Phillips' baby. He'll need to pay half the expenses incurred so far, totaling $993.50. Now, here's the big question. Is that enough? Shouldn't a father be actively involved instead of trying to escape? Food for thought, my friends.
These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics, and they read as follows. In the case of Parker versus Morton, when it comes to 7-month-old Aaron Morton, you are Aaron's father.
Thank you. I told you. I'm not Come on. Thank you. I need that paper so I can go down child support tomorrow morning when I get up.
Mr. Brown is refusing to believe that he's the father of his child, simply because the baby was born prematurely. This is a ridiculous reason, and it's clear that Mr. Brown doesn't understand science. Or does he have another reason for doubting the paternity? This relationship is on the verge of breaking, but will Mr. Brown stay if he finds out he is the real father? He's also asked for a lie detector test. So what does he think Miss Parker is hiding?
I feel like that I need to be free because at the end of the day,
I wasn't doing anything.
What you mean? I be stuck with the baby 24/7, honey. I was with my friend. He would not let me have no friends.
I let you have no friends.
He won't let
Oh
me
my
have
God.
no
You crazy.
friends. I cannot even step out my friends and go have a dinner.
Mr. Brown's doubts are apparently based on the fact that Miss Parker got pregnant in June, but the baby was born on January 5th. He's done some research, and he believes that even as a premature baby, the baby should have been born in February. But is he right? Or is he just looking for an excuse to deny paternity?
When was Malachi born?
He was born January 5th.
And take me back, you said, what about this time of this birth didn't add up to you?
I did research and I found out that full-term pregnancy is between 39 and 40 weeks. And if you got pregnant in June, the baby should have been born probably in February.
So you guys met when?
We met
First, I found out I was pregnant June 4th on his birthday.
Mr. Parker is stepping in to defend his daughter. He believes that Mr. Brown has trust issues, and he thinks that the baby looks like Mr. Brown, so he should be able to see through his doubts and accept the baby. Mr. Parker is urging Mr. Brown to step up and be a man. Today, let's find out if Mr. Brown is actually the father.
I mean, it's just crazy. Like, I don't even know why we're here today.
Yeah, why are you here?
Why are you here? I mean, obviously, you know that's your baby.
Hairline.
My hairline's straight. Here's like an arrow.
All right, what you mean? That don't mean nothing.
Hold on, Miss Parker, Mr. Brown.
I mean, obviously, you know that's your baby. It's time to step up. Be a man. Do what you have to do for your child.
Miss Parker is crying, and it's heartbreaking. She wants Mr. Brown to stay in her baby's life because he's the only father the baby has ever known. She doesn't want her child to grow up without a father.
I mean, whether he's not or is the father, I feel like I still want to sign the birth certificate because he's been there since day one. He's the only man I love, and I don't want to be with nobody else but him. Malachi, he's the only face he's seen, but he ain't seen no other guy. And I don't know, I don't want to interfere with their relationship and their bond.
The lie detector results are in. Did Miss Parker sleep with anyone else during their relationship? The lie detector says no, so she was telling the truth. That means that Mr. Brown is the biological father of her child, right? This is a gripping story with a lot of suspense. Will Mr. Brown finally accept that he's the father of his child, or will he continue to deny paternity? But one thing's for sure, this is a story that will keep you on the edge of your seat.
Mr. Brown, you are not Malachi's father. I'm sorry for you both. I know you wanted a different result. I'm gonna give you both a moment to compose yourselves, and then I'm going to meet you in my chambers. Okay. Court is adjourned. You can't say for certain you did not sleep with Ms. Lons during the window of conception.
No,
you don't know.
I can't say that. I really can't say that.
Are not the father.
Oh my God.
I hope you fine. Because everybody should know who their people are. My dad wasn't there for me either.
The sudden baby's arrival left Mr. Lamb in utter disbelief because his wife's sexual desires were on a leash, which led her to step out of the marriage. And we all know when such actions hit, there's no solution but a DNA test.
Mr. Lamb, you say your ex-wife was a serial cheater with an insatiable sexual appetite. You maintain she took advantage of your trust and routinely cheated on you in your own home, and there is no way you are baby Preston's father.
Yes, Your Honor.
While the mystery was lurking on, the plaintiff came forward and said that despite her bad marriage life, she was faithful to her better half. And the sexual encounter the hubby was hung on was proposed by him. Then why the fuss?
She's told me out of her own mouth that I'm not the father. And
Really?
I've heard from other people that they say that he don't look like
That is a lie.
After he was born, she told me she believes it was Jonathan's after the incident we had.
When he popped out, I made you apologize because he looked just like you. Do you not remember that?
No.
What's the point of creating doubt in your husband's mind right after the baby's birth? And he mentioned Jonathan's name. So what's the story behind that man and their marriage? Next, the judge asked them about the haunting incident, and the plaintiff explained Mr. Lamb's weird fantasies with Dear Jonathan.
He had told me about, the fantasy he had. I didn't feel comfortable with it, but I finally agreed. He took my phone and texted Jonathan and was acting like me and said something about us having a threesome. And Jonathan was like, I'm down.
I'm down?
Yeah.
You down, Jerome?
No.
So this was a good lesson of fantasy and turned it into a nightmare. I mean, who would be messed up enough to even think of such things? And now, instead of admitting his mistake, the defendant denied it and put all the blame on her.
He opened the door and came in on us.
Wrong.
And he asked us if we wanted to have a threesome. She agreed to it.
Wrong. His mattress was in our bedroom floor.
Why did his mattress have to be in your bedroom?
The kids was in a room, and we put his mattress in our floor.
What about the living room?
What kind of a circus did they have going on in their house? Who in their right state of mind entertains guests like that? So the judge asked him more about her flirtatious relationship with Jonathan, and he shared their sweet moment on his bed.
She agreed after she couldn't finish to try it again, him and her.
No.
She said since she didn't get to finish that time that she wanted to try it again and see if it would be any better.
This is just a disgusting case. So the truth is there was more than one time.
Yes,
No,
Your Honor.
absolutely not.
I believe he's lying at this point. His friend and wife were never comfortable. Then how can she say this? Their accusations are swinging freely in the middle with no hook to rely on. Next, the plaintiff said that all three of them were confused about pregnancy. Then Mr. Lamb shared the reason for his denial.
I do know she has over and over told me that he is the father and that he looks like him.
That he looks like the other guy.
Yes, yes, Your Honor.
She's told you this.
Yes.
I mean, I told him there were similarities. If we get to thinking about it, yes, but there's a lot of similarities between him and Jonathan as well.
Not all desires have to be taken seriously. And look how it made you fall into trouble that now you are standing in the court to figure out the real daddy of the baby. But regardless of their mistakes, the results were read to end this confusion.
Mr. Lamb, you are the father.
Living her own life without parents was hard enough for this 35-year-old Mount Olive woman. However, the sudden appearance of some random guy claiming to be her father has turned her life upside down. Done with all the false claims, Miss Agee was ready to prove him wrong today.
Over the last 30 years, you have searched to find your biological daughter, who you claim was taken from you as a child. When you found Miss Agee, whom you believe to be your daughter, on Facebook.
That is correct.
Ms. Agee, you come to court today to prove once and for all to Mr. Fritz that he is not your father.
Yes, Your Honor.
The defendant already had a biological father, a man named Mr. Buster, who had abandoned her while she was just a child and never looked back. Though she kept contacting him, he remained cold towards Miss Agee. That's why the woman was not ready to ride the same roller coaster again.
You say you're my dad, but if you're my dad, then you would have come looking for me. I live in Thomasville, a little town that you can find me. You found me when I was already married under my married name. You didn't find me under my maiden name. My maiden name, you couldn't find me. I live in a small town. I can go in the middle of the town and scream out Danny and Fritz, and they're gonna hear me. You didn't come looking for me, because if you did, you would have found me.
And if you're wondering why the plaintiff never reached out to his long-lost daughter, it was revealed that he was incarcerated for a long time and was away from his town, but still visited Miss Agee when she was 2 years old. One day, her family ghosted him without a reason, and he began his desperate search for his daughter.
And I thought you was an old school friend because I didn't even know you were my dad.
Right.
I didn't recognize the name. I'm 35 years old, and you're telling me you're my dad? And I don't know how you got
And
my
from this
phone
point
number,
on,
but
I'm
you
going to do
called me.
anything at all that
And
you
I
want me
didn't-
to do to help you in your life and your children's life.
You say that, but
I think I've been showing you that, Angel.
no, you haven't.
Oh, why would you do that to him? Shutting him off her life was wrong. Then, Mr. Fritz said that he found Miss Agee through Facebook and texted her to build their bond again. But to the defendant's surprise, it was a complete shock, and she didn't like it at all.
You contacted me on Facebook. We were talking. I
Right.
thought you was an old school friend because I didn't even know you were my dad.
Right.
But I didn't recognize the name. And then I was shocked. I didn't know what to think because
You're
here
both
you are.
shocked.
I'm 35 years old, and you're telling me you're my dad?
Mm-hmm.
What am I supposed to think?
She doesn't count his efforts as worthy. I know it must be hard to bond with this man, but still, she's numb to all his excuses. Regarding the daddy-daughter relationship, Mr. Fritz said that it started pretty well, but the defendant still had coldness towards him, which let him down. Upon this, the defendant attacked him again.
You do not believe he's your biological father.
Yes, Your Honor. I'm angry because he says he is my dad. If he is my dad, why wasn't you there? I needed a dad when I was younger. I'm 35 years old now. I've lived my life. I'm living my kid, I'm with my kids now. I'm living my life for my kid. And then he wants to pop up 35 years later and say he's my dad?
We know that she's hurt, and why not? For years you're missing from her life, and now you want to be a good father? It's not easy, man. Next, after seeing her constant denial, the judge finally gave her a moment to express her real emotions behind the anger, and she revealed her fears.
I'm here to help you. I'm here to be your daddy.
But you're putting out there that I asked you for money. I didn't ask you for no money. I told you what was going on.
Your father, or a man that believes he's your father for the money, he heard you had a need. His point was just to say, I'm there. I was trying to give of myself.
The hurt and resentment in the plaintiff's eyes were so much that she kept repeating denial and anger towards him. But now with this situation in the court, it was clear that they wanted the results so badly to end the confusion and have peace in their lives.
You are her father.
That's what I'm talking about. I love you so much, baby. I'm so sorry.
You can't be that mean and not be my youngin'.
Mr. Figgures played his A game with Miss Jackson's heart, and now it's payback time. Ghosting her with a baby, and now the plaintiff hit him back in his face to prove to him that he fathered her son. The terms of the past have to get resolved today, and to win this game against him, she demanded a DNA test.
You say Mr. Figgures was a smooth-talking Casanova who swept you off your feet and out of your clothes and then left you with a baby.
Yes, Your Honor.
You admit to being a former ladies' man, but you say there's no way you fathered Miss Jackson's child. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Job Corps was an adventure ride for them, and Miss Jackson recalled the innocent attraction she had for Mr. Figgures and their cheesy relationship in their youth. Wild thoughts of love and a hook of intimacy were an overwhelming desire that took them to the peak of madness.
At that time, you know, when you're younger, sometimes people change their names. And I had another friend also. His name was
Mustafa.
She got a good memory. She calls my name twice. Third time, she called his name.
Oh!
Now, I admit I didn't stop because we was in the middle of handling it.
Very amusing story. It must have been a lot of fun to do this back then. And I'm glad he knew about the other possibility right from the start. Next, the plaintiff said that pregnancy was a complete shock for her, and Mr. Figgures taunted that it was the Mufasa guy. But she explained herself on this matter.
Dealing with someone, meaning he had my back, don't meaning we having sex. But the person that he's talking about, he even went to him and told him, you know she's carrying my baby.
So I went to the guy and told him that?
That's what she testified.
No, I didn't go to him and tell him that.
There was doubt all along, but he never addressed it. And now he says he's not a runner? It doesn't add up. Mr. Majestic, that's cowardly. Next, the judge asked Mr. Jackson about his fatherless life experience, and the poor boy showed great courage in answering her.
She always told me don't run from your problems, so I don't run from my problem. I stick with her through thick and thin.
I have other children, and they dad come into their life. They come in, they take them places, they go here, they go there, you know what I'm saying? And it's always been me and him. He don't have nobody. I'm all he has, and he is all I have.
He is crushed with pain. And yes, he needs to have a father figure in his life, even if it's too late. The young man's tears and pain still did not affect Mr. Figgures, and Mr. Jackson further shared that his father is meaningless to him now.
My closest friend, his dad died, but he seen his dad. My other friends, they all know their daddy. They all have needs.
You have a right to have that relationship.
I don't want that right.
I know.
My mind's already set. I'm done.
I know.
This moment must have been hard for the poor boy, and his hate is valid for him. Everyone would have the same feeling about a ghosted father. But listening to this, his mother broke down and expressed her frustration over Mr. Figgures and wanted things to improve for their son's future.
I have dreams of him coming to my house, or we, you know what I'm saying, like we meeting up or having a connection the way I never had my father. This hurt. He's gonna put that mask on, but I want him to be able to take that mask off and be able to be on Facebook like, what's up, Dad? Or post pictures.
The mother-son had led a hard life, but today's paternity question was very important for Mr. Jackson and his future, so he could have a full family by his side. And the only way to find Mr. Figgures' paternity is by reading the DNA results.
You are not the father.
Oh my God.
I hope you find that, because everybody should know who their people are. My dad wasn't there for me either. So I'm sorry for you, man. I really hope you do find out who your father is.
The hunt for the real father is still on, as Miss Lons returned to court to find her daughter's biological father. Previously failed and devastated in their last attempt, now with a new hope, they've come back to get their answer whether Mr. Randolph was the real blood of Miss Noel or not. Let's see what the case brings this time.
You claim that while filming your popular reality TV show, a DNA test determined that the man you believe was your daughter Elite's father was not. That it was devastating to find out that the man you believed was your dad was not, and you now believe that his brother is your father.
Yes, Your Honor.
In her own words, Miss Long stated that her past reality TV life has damaged her a lot, and now she was clean and sober from all the mistakes of her youth, and was desperate to find the truth today for her daughter. Then, Miss Noel spoke about her experience as a fatherless child.
I closed up with my mom. I also closed up with Vic, which is the guy that originally we, tested. And I'm not gonna lie, it's a bitter thing for me. I used to hide the story, you know what I mean? I didn't want to judge my mom, but I didn't want to be judged for it. I just didn't tell anybody that I didn't know who my biological father was.
Mr. Randolph shared that a confession of paternity by Miss Longs on the reality show brought trouble to him when multiple people told him that he was the father of Miss Noel. The suspicion was unsettling, and he only faced court to find answers. Then, Miss Noel shared a little about her childhood life.
From the time I was adopted up until 11, you couldn't tell me that wasn't my family. After that, I lashed out throughout my teenage years.
I gave custody to was my family first. They took care of me before you were born. So it's the choices and decisions that I made is the reason why the woman that you are today.
A lot is going on in this case. Two different fathers who are brothers. It's very complicated. Then Miss Noel shared that her adopted mother took her to the man David Noel, who was on her birth certificate, and he coldly pushed her away. Then, the judge asked the defendant about his relationship with Miss Longs.
Her and my brother and their friend and I were involved in a relationship. We did what we did. Had I known that it was even suspected that I was the father of any child, I've always stepped up to the plate. I know she was pregnant just about every time she was pregnant. That's my brother's girlfriend.
So the groupies were involved with each other so badly, then sure, babies would pop out. And sadly, no one would own them in the end. Crazy how people make mistakes and never think of the consequences. And now, look how they're standing here doubting paternity. Then, the judge brought one member of their band, Mr. Robertson, to testify in the case.
It was just a group thing, I never fell in love with none of them. It's just.
So you never were in a girlfriend-boyfriend committed relationship?
Never a relationship.
You can't say for certain you did not sleep with Ms. Longs during the window of conception.
No,
you don't know.
I can't say that. I really can't say that.
His testimony has added more puzzles now. So everyone is freely sleeping around in the band, but none came up with responsibility, and now stood here confused about paternity. Next, Miss Noel said she never heard of Mr. Robertson before. Then, Mr. Randol further explained his uncertainty.
Darling, I wish nothing but the best for you. You look so much like Nefertiti and my children till, yes, we really did think Vic was your father, especially because of Frankie and his relationship. No way under God's green earth did I ever think that she was my child.
The actions of these groupie people might have brought them a lot of fame and satisfaction, but they surely damaged Miss Noel's life completely. Now, after all the testimonies, there was only one way to end this unanswered question of paternity, and only DNA could tell the truth.
Mr. Randolph, you are not her father.